Hey, my name's Andrew Laws and welcome back to the Untitled SEO podcast by SEO. Today we're going to talk about content length. Should you write really long articles or should you write very brief articles? I think you probably know before I go any further the answer is somewhere in the middle of that, but how do you figure out what that is? First of all, we're going to have a look at why content length impacts how well your articles rank. It's all about your mates. It's all about what they're doing. And I'm going to explain that fully in a moment. The purpose of this video is just to look at how this myth that all articles have to be really long came about. And then I'm going to give you some practical ways to ignore all that stuff and just write the perfect length articles without losing your bananas. So first of all, how did this obsession with really long articles come about? In the early days of SEO, in fact until fairly recently, Google wasn't very good at judging authority. You might think that the Google algorithm was thinking, hey, lots of words, they must know what they're talking about. And to a certain extent that may well be what was going on. But the reality is that people also seem strangely impressed with very, very long articles. You land on a page and you think, wow, these guys have really made an effort. Now, of course, this led to a really crappy situation where you'd be searching the internet for an answer to something, let's say a recipe. A recipe is a nice example to use. So, how do I boil potatoes? And you'd land on the page that ranked #1 in Google search results, and the article would start something like, well, I remember as a child potatoes were often worn around the belt on a piece of string, which was the fashion at the time. As a child I lived in Northwest Virginia. It'd go on and on and on, and then you'd eventually get the recipe right at the end. It's almost become like a meme in internet circles, just how much waffle there is. And that waffle's just put there for Google. It's not put there to actually add any value to the page. So the world had to move on. Google had to get a better grip on understanding what authoritative and useful content was. One of the first things that happened is Google started paying more attention to rich snippets, schema code, little bits of information that we put in blog pages and posts that just serves up the answers to questions and other bits of information directly to Google. So suddenly those people writing those long, hey, yeah, a potato can come in 5 colours, and those really, really long articles with a long introduction and the payoff at the end, they were starting to find their payoff was actually being lifted off their page and just put right in the search results. Search for how to cook a spud and just the information would just be there. So that was all very self-defeating. All the effort that these people were going to write really, really long articles just was for nothing, no good at all. It wasn't actually delivering every single person to their website. Google was just taking the information. Now this still happens a lot, and you still see these very, very long articles. But why is that? Basically because the web, for all the talk we have around it being so fast and developing quickly and whatever, is actually glacially slow. If you're finding an article that's still ranking well, that's still written in that very long, waffly format, it's because Google hasn't found anything better. There's a theory that doesn't get talked about much in SEO, and the theory, the truth probably, is that you only have to be marginally better than your competitors. Look, here's how it goes. There's lots of software and lots of information and lots of articles and lots of tools and lots of things that will cost you money. My goodness, my glasses are filthy. Lots of things that will cost you money that tell you to do SEO a certain way. Now, a lot of those tools, bits of software and articles tell you that SEO to be done a certain way has to be X, like these long checklists. Oh my goodness, long checklists of tasks that you must complete. The reality is, if your competitors aren't doing SEO, or if your competitors have terrible websites, you don't have to do as much as all that. You only have to be marginally better. I don't know why this isn't discussed more often. Right, my glasses are clean, I can continue. Just before we leave this theory of just being marginally better, I say that with the caveat that If you are only marginally better than your competitors, and that's why you're ranking, they will catch up with you. Nobody ever sits at the top of Google forever with zero maintenance. So try and be a bit better than just a little bit better. So why do we still see long articles that are brand new? Well, partly because it could be a complex subject, that it really does take that many words and that length of article to rank. Remember, Google only wants to send people to your website and to your pages if you are providing the best resource on the entire internet for the search terms that you're targeting. The best. That's it. The best, the most authoritative. That doesn't mean it has to be the longest. But in some incredibly competitive niches where there could be hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of websites all trying to rank right at the top, that's where this battle to write longer and longer articles can become a bit of an arms race. Things are changing though, and what I think is particularly interesting about the recent helpful content update, which Google's rolling out. So I'm pulling a face here if you're watching on video, because people get too excited about algorithm updates, but I quite like this one because it's Google apparently getting a little bit closer to understanding what content is genuinely helpful versus what content is written to rank. Now, obviously, we all want to write to rank. We want our content to rank, but if you write only for the algorithm and not for humans, then ultimately it's not going to be useful for humans. So Google doesn't want to rank that stuff at the top anymore. And if you think about usability, articles that are only written for the algorithm aren't going to get the conversions that you want on your website anyway. Because people are going to land there and go, why have I got to read 3,000 words about the history of potatoes? I just want to learn how to boil my spud. I will stop talking about potatoes soon. So how do you figure out what length of article you should write in order to rank for the keywords you're targeting? The quick answer is just write naturally. Just write the best content you can. Cover all the angles. This is where AI can be really, really useful actually. Write yourself an article, a sketch. My first paragraph will be about this, my next paragraph will be about this, my next paragraph will be about this. And then drop it into an AI tool like ChatGPT-4, or a good AI tool, and say, look, I want to cover this entire subject. What am I missing? And this is where AI is very good at kind of skimming through and going, well, you're talking about, I'm going to stick with potatoes for now. You're talking about potatoes, but you haven't actually mentioned how to cook them in an air fryer. And you go, right, I must include that for this to be a rounded article, for it to be the best article in the world ever about cooking potatoes. I need to write about that. Enough about AI now. So write from the heart. Write a good article. This is where human quality is very, very important, and you knowing about what you're talking about, writing about, is incredibly important. There's a brilliant author and public speaker called Dale Carnegie, and his secret to good public speaking is to speak from the heart. Speak about a topic you care about and you're knowledgeable about. Exactly the same thing goes for writing articles. This is where the skill of finding a brilliant copywriter becomes incredibly important. Hug your copywriters, love them, stay with them, nurture them, train them, teach them, listen to them. Right, enough copywriter love for now. So there's the wafty SEO, it depends type answer to how long your content should be. I'm going to give you some practical advice now if you really want to try and give yourself a good shot at ranking well by picking your article length. I'm pulling faces again. I'm sorry to anyone listening on the podcast. I'm pulling faces again because you're not going to rank just because of the length of your content. It's not going to happen, okay? But if you want to get the lay of the land, use a tool like the SEMrush content analyzer. Because what that does, you put in the keywords, the group of keywords you want to rank for, the territory, so the country or county or whatever you want to rank in, and whether you're targeting mobile first or desktop, and almost everyone's targeting mobile first because that's where most traffic is. SEMrush then goes out and it looks at what's ranking in the top 10 for those keywords for that area, for that type of search, and will report back on what the average length is of the articles. What sort of words are they using in the, what are semantically linked, right? BS SEO tool alert, semantically linked. Just means what words are used in the article around the primary keyword. So if you're talking about spuds, then naturally you're going to talk about weight of potatoes, cooking methods, ovens. I really should have thought this through. Don't talk about spuds again. I won't. Okay, good. That was weird. So there's your answer. Does content length have an impact on SEO? Absolutely it does. But probably not as much as you think. Being natural and writing for humans is more important than anything else. Got that? Brilliant. Right, off you go. Go write the correct length article to rank well. There's your SEO update for today. Please let me know if you disagree. Let me know what your experiences are. The great thing about SEO is that nobody can give you 100% truth about anything. Because remember, the SEO answer to any question is always, it depends. Hope this has been useful to you. Please like, subscribe, comment, and tell all your friends. I'm sure they would love to know. Bye-bye.